No bye, no aloha. Gone with a rock promoter.
You know what I was thinking about today? I was riding my bike and I saw a quarter on the floor or on the ground as I was riding by, and then it reminded me I was on my bike last week and I saw a dollar on the ground, but I wasn't going that fast, and I absolutely stopped and I picked up the dollar. How much money would there have to be on the floor for you to stop and pick it up?
A bill has to be some sort of bill.
You're not picking up any coin.
No, it's not worth it. Is
Yeah.
it worth a physical exertion to get off your bike, bend down, and pick up a quarter?
Exactly. I
A
agree.
dollar is like it's.
And you don't know what it could be. You don't know what the dollar. You don't know if it could be a
I mean,
one, a five.
If you have a good eyesight, you can probably figure it out. But yeah, I mean, if it's folded up, crumpled up, you never know.
As long as it's a bill,
But
you're
even
picking it up.
if it was a dollar bill, I might not.
You might not pick up a dollar bill if you know.
still-
Okay, if you're on a
still-
bike, you're riding your bike, you're moving,
It's a great pantomime, by the way.
and you see clearly a $1 bill. You'd go, fuck that.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends what kind of state of mind I'm in. If I'm broke, if I need money, then yeah, sure, I'll pick it up. But otherwise, it's only a dollar, and the dollar's not once what it was.
What if you're walking? Would you pick up
Oh,
the
of course,
quarter?
yeah.
I'll pick up the quarter every time. I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
I'm,
it's
I'm
walking.
not.
Like you're already off your bike. You're already like you're on the ground.
If I saw a dime or a nickel, I don't think I'm picking it up.
Pennies are the only thing I'll never pick up.
You know what I do when I'm in
In fact, like I'll leave pennies for
yeah.
other people to pick
See,
up.
I was just we're on the same page.
Like I'll leave those stacks of pennies at the store. If I get change, I'll leave pennies on a stack
I do the same thing.
on the windowsill for people.
I whenever I'm in Chinatown and I need to park, I grab all the change from my little change dish and I pick out the pennies and I put the pennies on the floor. And then every time I come back to my car, they're always gone.
Yeah, well, someone wants a penny.
Yeah.
Like another man's blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
What's the most money you ever found on the floor or on the ground?
I don't know. I've heard stories from friends that have found like bags of money, but for me, nothing. I don't have good luck when it comes to that stuff.
Wow.
I never find like drugs. I never find money. My luck's just not that good.
You don't have good money with money, or you don't have good luck with money, period?
No, I mean I have good luck with money. I don't think I'm a lucky person. Like if you want to bring luck into the factor,
Yeah.
and luck being a constant, I don't think I'm a
Did
lucky
you
person.
did you gamble when we were in Vegas?
Yeah, and I was totally unlucky.
How much did you
Uh,
lose?
I mean, like relative to our friends, not that much.
Right.
But for me, I probably lost like $80. That's just quarter blackjack.
And that was in the whole weekend?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
for me, I mean, because I don't make tons of money, so $80 is quite substantial.
But you were getting your free drinks in and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason you're doing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to gamble to make money. If I make money, cool. But I was there to get drunk.
I think it's your mindset.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think? I don't know.
Could be.
Like if you were like, I'm gonna gamble some money and I'm gonna maybe win some, I'll maybe lose some too, but I don't care that much. But because I felt like that the first time I went to Vegas, the first time I went to Vegas and I was drinking and gambling, I thought I'm just gonna play it safe and just get my drinks, and I would lose $10 every time I would sit down. But I would always get 2 drinks, and I thought, well, that's fine because I'm just basically just paying for my drinks.
Well, when you go to Vegas, like, what's your primary reason for being there? Is it to gamble? Like last time,
No.
like my primary reason was to be with friends.
Right.
So like I'm not a gambler. Like, I mean, I can handle Vegas for 2 or 3 days and then I'm over it.
My primary reason was absolutely not to gamble because it was Josh's birthday,
Yeah,
so that's
so
what
you're
we were
not-
there for. But the first night when we got in, you guys were there, right? You had just gotten there?
Yeah, a few hours earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, John Ness, he just brings it out of me for sure. Like
Yeah.
he's just got this wild little look in his eye, and I was like, all right, it's on.
Well, John convinces you that he has a foolproof plan that'll make him win. And at first he was winning, but once alcohol's involved, it's like
That's rough.
you're not gonna get it.
As long as you don't, whatever you're comfortable to lose, I suppose is all that really matters. I was talking to John and we were talking about when you were on Warp Tour. You were in the Eco Initiative, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
What was that? Just recycling?
It's like a bunch of things that it was Kevin Lyman's brainchild. So he wanted people that could have 20 volunteers a day to pick up recycling all over like the fairgrounds or whatever, and also to help work on the biodiesel engines for the trucks, and also for the solar powered stages. So I helped out with all of that, but mostly it was recycling. So we had 20 volunteers a day, and it was like a good cop, bad cop. There's two of us, and I was a bad cop. So
There's only two of you.
yeah, only
Oh,
two of us,
wow.
and 20 volunteers each thing. So like the kids would come in, we give the spiel, and then there's always freeloaders, right? Because the deal is you get to
They get in for free.
they get in for free,
Yeah.
and so our deal was like, so for every hour you work, you get to piss off for an hour and go see the bands you want to see, which is a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would just piss off for the entire day. So my job a lot of times was to track them down, take their wristbands off, and send them home.
Whoa. That's so gnarly.
Yeah, but I kind of enjoyed it. You know, it was fun.
I would
and,
enjoy
and
it
after
too.
and after about 3
Hey, you
years of
little
doing
punk.
it, you can totally tell who the assholes are.
Yeah.
You can totally tell.
Just throw a little GPS in their shoe and be like, I'll see you in an hour.
I don't think they had
fucker.
GPS back then. That was, I think we had like some sort of weird sat nav thing.
But you were how did you travel? Were you on a bus or
Yeah. So we were on
That's
one of the
sick.
production buses. But you've been on a bus, haven't you?
I've never toured on a bus, and it's been one of my dreams.
It's
Not
fun.
that I dream about that anymore.
I
but-
mean, it's like sleeping when we were in touring with El Caminos. It's exactly like sleeping
In the
on
bunk?
on the bottom bunk of a van going 90 miles an hour.
it's comfy.
Yeah, it's comfy.
I loved it down there.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite places. So okay, so we then
Rip the van.
we kind of had.
Rest in peace.
What even happened to that van?
Black Square crashed
rolled
it, and then they bought it because I'd sold it to them, and then they sold it to someone else. I'm not sure who has it now. It might be in a junk heap.
You bought it from Go Jimmy Go.
Yeah. Now
I wonder if they had it new because they toured for quite a while.
it was pretty new. I mean, it was nice. There's no scratches or dings, and yeah, and it had low mileage. Because they were like kind of like us, where they were going to do the touring thing, and I'm not sure if it worked out for them or just they kind of lost interest. And,
Go Jimmy Go?
Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely did the touring thing.
But
They were
that-
touring their asses
But that
off.
van, I think that van had low mileage. I don't remember correctly.
Oh, maybe they picked up that van and eventually were like, all right, fuck it, we're done. Maybe. I remember there was a pea coat in the van, and
Like when we got it.
yeah, and it was Cam's, and he was like, hey, is my pea coat in there? And I think we got it back to him.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and there was a guitar left, and we're like, yo, do you guys want this guitar? I don't know. I remember there being a couple things in the van.
Do you feel like you have a good memory when it comes to stuff like that? Like remembering like all the little details?
I
of being
think
on
I
tour?
do, but then
'Cause
sometimes I find out I'm wrong, and I'm just believing these
At least
things
you
I
have
made up.
details to believe in. I feel like when I try to look back on that stuff, it's only the really, really good moments or the really, really bad moments that I remember. I don't remember like the in-between. Like it's all very hazy. And I was completely sober back then.
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
don't remember like I remember like little things here and there, but when people's like, "Oh, tell me a story about being on tour," I'm like, I draw a fucking blank.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I mean,
Oh,
if
I
I
could-
think about it hard enough, I can like tell someone a story and repeat it, but otherwise, I don't remember like a lot of things. Even Skinny Lister, I'm like, yeah, like I went to Germany, like I went to Japan, but like
Really?
details of that, I mean, yeah,
Because as soon as you say Germany, I go, yeah, we stayed with these two kids at their squat, and I remember they had vegan Nutella, and they took us to this place called Aloha Burgers to get vegan burgers.
maybe that's
and,
it because you went to Germany once.
Yeah.
So when you like,
yeah.
I think it's like when you tour in the States, all the cities start looking the same. Because once you start doing it over and over again, so maybe like just from being in Germany over and over again, everything looks the same after a while.
Well, I could remember.
You become desensitized.
Okay, if you said, hey, remember that tour you did in 2007? Tell us a story about LA. I would say, I don't know which one that was. Because we did LA every
Yeah, like-
single tour.
Or just 2007.
You know what
I don't
blows my
remember-
mind
I
though?
don't
This
remember
is
stuff
what
like that.
this is why when I was watching Leaving Neverland, why I had such a hard time with it, because I would sit there and I would go, see how they set a date and then they rattled off things that happened that year? I could never do
Well,
that.
a lot of that's embellished. It's dramatized. I mean, a lot of it's true. I mean, but it's also their account, and there's not another conflicting account.
But I find that so often.
Because the person they're accusing it is dead. You know.
Okay, but that's just an example. I'm talking about like any time I hear somebody say, "Oh, 1989, can never forget January 1989. That's when this thing happened." I'm like, how could you remember that thing on that one year?
I think it's older people saying that. Maybe it's just our our generation, because we're like overstimulated by like social media
Maybe that's
and
what it
movies and
is.
stuff like that. So our minds are going fucking everywhere at once.
Yeah.
And they can like actually back then they had a foothold on certain dates and times and blah blah blah. Like unless it's like emotionally scarring or the best moments of my life, I don't remember it.
Yeah. Because I never felt a strong attachment to the calendar. Like
Well,
I'll know what year it is, but when somebody goes, "Hey, what's the date today?" I don't know. I have no idea. I have to
funny.
think about it for a second. I'm like, "What is it? August? No, it's June.
Yeah, that's
Oh
all.
no,
I
it's
mean,
June."
I've always been like that. To me, I'll know what month it is. But I think if, like, for me, I work like 3 days a week now. So
That's it?
when I'm not working, I'm pissing off. I'm going to the beach. I'm relaxing. So a lot of times, I don't know what
It
day it
doesn't
is.
matter.
Like especially when I had surgery and for 2 months I was in bed, I didn't know what fucking day it was. I didn't know if it was the weekend. Sometimes it's relative, you know. It doesn't like you don't know. Like when you're busy and you're at work and you have to remember dates and times, it's easier to remember that shit.
Yeah, for sure. Since I write checks a lot at work, then I have to know the date. But I also just started wearing a watch, and that was one of the first things I put on there was the date. That because you can, on an Apple Watch, you can like rearrange what's on there, and I was like, I want the date on there.
Apple Watches, not just for the poor anymore. Or not just for the rich.
Not just for the four.
Never mind.
I don't know. I like knowing the date. Kind of. It's because now that I've been sober for 18 days, I can, that's what I'm like, okay, 18 days. Plus I'm trying, I think I was talking to Josh about this. I'm trying to get better at knowing my schedule and knowing my extracurriculars.
Do you feel like with your drinking or not drinking, it's like all or nothing? Like where you can't moderate.
I have a hard time. I'm going to try and be less of a all guy.
Because I was thinking
I'm more
about
of an
this, like,
in-between guy.
like I drink every day. I don't drink. I have maybe 2 drinks at night, but I drink every day. And I was trying to figure out if normal people do that.
I think normal people can do 2 drinks a day. What happens to me is it doesn't matter if I'm at home or if I'm out and I'll always start with a beer and a shot. And then depending on how much food I've had, that beer and shot hits me a certain way. And then inevitably I'm like, well, I want another one.
But
I'll take another beer and a shot.
But do you think normal people don't drink every day? Do you think they, like, I mean, do you think it's a wide spectrum of people?
Well, if you look at TV, like I'm watching The Wonder Years lately a lot.
Wow.
And Jack Arnold, he drinks every night after work.
Yeah, but you can't use a television show as like real life.
Um,
I'm kidding.
I mean, but I bet you when he gets done filming The Wonder Years, he goes home and has a drink.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Just what I was. I was raised around no drinking at all, so I didn't know what was normal as far as drinking
Like with
went.
your grandma.
Yeah,
So
Mormon church, and what normal to me was nobody ever drinking ever. Not at parties, not at home, not nowhere, and it was like it was really frowned upon. Mormons don't drink, and then meeting kids that would, I thought, oh, they're bad kids, they're terrible. And then getting a little bit older and having friends that would drink, I'm like, man, it was always in there, that morality. And then eventually I dropped it, and then I started drinking, and then it was slow going at first, but then eventually just working in a bar, of course.
Like do you
every
think
day.
that Mormonism or that guilt like transfers over to your drinking? Like, do you feel like
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
At first it did, because when I first started drinking, I was like, well, I'll just drink beer, but I'm not going to drink hard alcohol. And then people would go, you want to take a shot? And I'd be like, no, I don't take shots.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, you're new. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Everyone doesn't know what they're doing when they start drinking.
But once I really okay, how did you feel when you first started drinking hard alcohol? Did you like it? Or did you go, I'm supposed to like this?
No, I think just everyone else was drinking hard alcohol, and I was like, okay, well, they're drinking hard
Yeah, I guess
alcohol.
fuck
I'll
it,
do too.
right?
I mean, peer pressure's a bitch.
Because at first, I remember Nate was one of the ones that turned me on to Fireball, and he's like, it's cinnamon whiskey. And I was like, oh, whiskey, that's cool. People like to drink whiskey. And then I tried it, and I was like, okay. And then I think like within a month, I was like, okay, I'm sick of this stuff. This is
Yeah,
disgusting.
I'm sorry that was your first hard alcohol.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Well, I had a Jack and Coke. Yeah, I hate Jack now.
I did have one experience. The first thing I ever puked on was Jack Daniels, and that was like in my backyard when I was like 12 or 13. You know, it's like when you like steal a bottle from your parents and
Yep.
you drink it. And to this day, I'll smell Jack Daniels, and I just can't do it.
Mm.
Utterly can't do. I couldn't do whiskey for years, but now I like love Jameson, Tullamore Dew. But Jack Daniels has that like that smell reminds you like that powerful memory of you dying in your backyard, puking up your guts.
I think I really don't prefer bourbons all that much. Jack isn't a bourbon, but I don't. But like Makers, Jim Beam, like any of those like
Bourbon's stronger, has a more of a bite to it than like Irish whiskey.
yeah. Some of them I do though. Like the much higher end, I'll enjoy. But when it comes to just like everyman bourbons, not really my favorite.
Even like the higher end stuff like Woodford Reserve and all that stuff.
I'll drink it,
Yeah.
but I'd prefer
But-
Redbreast.
But yeah, like you want that's more Irish. That's Irish.
I
Whiskey.
like-
That's
yeah, I like the
high-end
Irish.
whiskey. Irish has always been more smooth. You know, it's just like it goes down better. It's like it's not as fiery. Like you can shoot it, you can sip it.
Wonder why.
I don't know. Redbreast is delicious. It's really good. Yeah, I don't know. My drink. I think maybe because I have the confusion is like my mom drank every day. She didn't drink a lot, but she drank every day. My dad didn't drink, so there's that disconnect growing up. I wasn't really sure which route I should take, but I think I've definitely gotten my dad's DNA with the drinking. Like I like to drink, but I don't like to drink by itself. If I drink, I want to smoke some weed with it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I just drinking alone doesn't really do it for me.
You used to hate the weed, right?
I used to hate the weed. No, I just got in high school. I would get really. I've always been very sensitive to it. Like I
Yeah.
get stoned really easily, and then as soon as I get stoned, like being in social situations, like I'll shake someone's hand, and like, did I shake that hand weird? You know, did I
Yeah.
shake it strangely? You know, and like all the inner gears that I think become like amplified to this like exponential thing, and I can't not stop thinking.
So now it's just an at-home thing?
Mostly at home. I mean, I'll do a little bit. I'll do like light baby hits in public sometimes if I'm like out camping or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, it's at home. It's like I was telling John, it's like my reward. So I don't drink during the day. I don't smoke weed during the day. But when I go home, it's like, you know, it's Mike's time, you know?
That is what you were saying earlier. So what about like daytime beach parties? Will you have a few beers or you're just like
I got a few beers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not set in stone like my rules, but for the most part, yeah.
I feel like
But day drinking's always been hard for me too. I'll do it. Like I drink beer, but it just wears me out.
yeah, I usually get pretty sleepy on Sundays if I'm out in the sun having beers.
Well, yeah, beer and sun is a pretty gnarly combination.
I don't think I've ever seen you wildly hammered.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been wildly high before, but not
Yeah.
wildly hammered. I don't know. I think I'm very self-conscious about what people think about me, and so if I don't want to lose control out in public.
Yeah.
And I've always had this I've even though I shouldn't, like I've always cared. I'm better at it now, but I've always cared what people think about me, and that goes to like for El Caminos, for anything,
Yeah.
or like in the back of my, and I know it's not true, but the way I think in the back of my head, it's like sooner or later they're gonna find out I'm a fraud, you know? Like they're gonna
Dude.
stop coming to my shows, they're gonna stop liking El Caminos, and it's like I'll perpetuate that, and we talk about this, like
Yeah.
we'll throw a show and we'll be like, oh man, no one's gonna come to the show.
Yeah, always,
You know? No one's gonna come to the
always.
show. Then people will fucking show up, and like it'll be like, people like me, and it's like this weird like self-loathing I have, but then I use like shitty means to make myself feel better. Like that shouldn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, like I should love myself unconditionally before any of that shit happens, and I don't.
I totally had that same feeling, but whenever we're on tour, I feel like people would show up to shows and I would think the same exact thing, like, they're going to watch all the opening bands, but they're not going to like us. And then they 9 times out of 10 would have a blast and be like just super cool. I'm not talking like overly like we love you, but they'll be like, oh cool, they'd check it out, hang out, be cool, and I would be like, I'd be shocked every single night.
Yeah, dude. Like therapists could write fucking books on us. You know, like
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like me, and like I mean, I'm an egomaniac. Like I want the love and adoration of other people, but like I have crippling low self-esteem. You know.
I used to remember, I think we talked about this before, but I remember when we were playing a ton, you know, it would be no big deal every other weekend or so playing a show with the tens of 20s of rad local bands that there were at the time, and having pack shows at Coffee Talk or Anna's or whatever it was. Like the scene was just thriving so hard. It wasn't us by any means, but it was just jamming. You could play first, second, third, fourth, whatever, and it was jamming. And then I remember going home at the end of the night and just feeling such a low, like being
Well, it was a high. You know, you're coming down off your high.
like you're on stage and there was just like 100, 200 people singing and dancing and all this, and then you get home and you're like, oh,
yeah.
it's weird. I remember very, very well.
I was thinking about
those
that
times.
too the other day. It's funny you mentioned it. Like there was some sort of magic back then, you know, and I really think we bottled it. Like
Well,
we
the all
bottled
ages
lightning.
thing was way part
That
of
was, and like like us, 86 List, like all the new by Golf Cart Rebellion, all these new bands are up and coming. Like
Smiths, yeah.
there was some sort of magic that we all bottled, and we gave it back to the masses, and they gave it to us, and it was great. And having all ages shows, that helped a lot too. And I think when I moved back from the UK, like I didn't see that magic anymore, and like everyone just looked very young, and I was like being an old man about it. And I think that's like a big reason why I don't hang out anymore, because whatever magic we had back then, I just don't feel it in the scene anymore. That's probably due to the fact there's no all ages shows. Like I stopped caring about the music scene, and it's a really sad thing. And I think about it like way too much.
That's how I feel about Chinatown, because
Yeah, same thing.
when you were gone, I came back, what, not 3-4 years before you ended up moving back, something like
Yeah.
this. And I remember I was like, whenever I'm in the time, like you always look back at like, oh, those days, and whenever I find myself like, I'm like, oh, I'm in those days right now, and I try to just soak it up really hard. So it was like the beginning of Downbeat. It was a bunch of new people kind of coming together, and then I feel like everybody involved at that ground level, we were all like, this is going to be cool. Not necessarily Downbeat was going to be cool.
That was one of the highs for me. Like it's always been like a roller coaster,
Yeah.
where Coffee Factory, Coffee Talk was up here, then there was a lull, and then the beginnings of Downbeat and like the semi gentrification of Chinatown.
Right, the semi.
Like that. Before it was all those, when it was like just Bar 35 and Manifest and Downbeat, there was only a few great bars on that street. Like that's one of my favorite times in the scene.
Me too.
When Roscoe was around, stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I felt like we were all playing in each other's bands, and it was great, and there was some sort of magic. And I think the lull or this low this time has been going on for so long that I haven't given up hope that it'll go back up, but I haven't felt it in a long time, and I'm worried about it.
Well, I think part of what it is that what the wave that we ride on that up and down is punk rock, and I think the highs have been getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower as far as punk rock goes. And then for a while, when it was like
trends change. Or
the
whatever.
Roscoe thing, there was like that, and then there was like the old time revival, and there was this big Americana surge, and we were both so close to that where it was like, okay, boom, we're in bands like that now, which I don't think it was because it was trendy even. I think it was always there.
I think it was different than punk rock, and it was rootsy, and it just, I don't know, it was very inclusive, and it made me drawn to it, really easily drawn.
It didn't feel like punk rock by any means.
It was the
though.
same
Like,
energy though. It was the
well,
same
the
energy.
crowds were just so much more. Okay, so here's what was going on at that time. The way I see it, there was a boom with moonshine and whiskey. So whiskey bars were pumping. It was really cool to go out and try a bunch of new whiskeys, and then moonshine was on the market.
Yeah.
I remember people coming in and saying, "You guys serve moonshine? Isn't that illegal?" Every single day, same story. Oh, well, actually, here's the story. Blah blah blah. Here's what we have. Yada yada yada. We have cocktails with moonshine in them. We've got all these whiskeys to try, and
It's not your dad's bar anymore.
yeah. So that went really well, I think, with that Americana thing.
Oh yeah, kind of goes hand in hand.
So there was that. People were coming to town. I don't know, man. I just think, like I think I said this to somebody the other day, but I was watching these kids play, and I was off. Well, they're not kids, but they're younger 20s, and I was watching them play, and I said to myself, okay, that's it. I'm old. I don't understand music anymore, because they were rocking the house, and I knew that they were playing well, but I was like, this music
It's a
just
style, yeah.
doesn't hit me at all. And then I look at the crowd and I'm like, I'm wrong though. I'm the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because everybody's having a blast and they're just loving it and they're thrilled. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Well, yeah, dude, like punk rock's not in fashion anymore, you know?
I don't care. It wasn't in fashion when I got into it in the first place.
No, but it was at least like people, like it was an escape. It's not an escape anymore for people. They have other kinds of music. That's their escape.
Yeah.
It's just not in, I don't know. It's just me. I mean, I'm not in touch with mainstream culture anyway, so I probably don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's it's a different climate,
Yeah.
they say.
I try to think of like if I'm gonna go on a trip, I try to look at like, okay, like what kind of bands would be playing there? Maybe I can go see a show. And I've been lucky. Actually, you hooked me up last time not last time, but the time before last when I went to Japan.
Wait, like, but John said you guys couldn't get in.
Oh, we got in.
Yeah,
It's a kind of a
but
funny
said you weren't-
story.
Yeah.
So you put us on the guest list through Anti-Flag, who is
Through
the
Chris
same
number 2,
booking
yeah.
agent as
The Men Singers. Yeah.
So we get there, and I think it's just a Japanese cultural thing where like people don't really scam and lie there, maybe. That's kind of the vibe I got. So we walked up to the door, and I said, hi. I showed my passport. I said, we're both on the guest list, and the girl working the door didn't speak English. And I was like, and I kind of pointed, and she starts looking, and she was like, I don't know. And then so All Heart, the band from here, had toured, and the same guy putting on the Menzinger show was the same guy who put on their shows.
Okay.
I wish I could remember his name. At the same time, the band that I toured with in Japan was called the China Wife Motors, and one of their buddies was at that show. So they told me, oh, look out for our friend. He's going to be around in
That's
Tokyo, and you guys should hang out. And I said, okay. So then all of these things were happening at the same time. So the guy comes out, and I go, oh, wait, would you happen to be, and I knew his name at the time. I was like, would you happen to be so-and-so? My buddy Kaliko said to say hi to you, and he's like, oh, yeah, All Heart. We love them, whatever. And I was like, cool. Well, he's like, why? How are you on the guest list? And I was like, it's this weird way. Like, they're the same booking agent as Anti-Flag.
Long story
and my
short.
buddy talked to the guy from Anti-Flag, who apparently was supposed to talk to the booking agent and put us on. And I was like, you know what? It's at this point, I'm like, what is it? 35, 40, 50
Yeah.
bucks. We'll just pay. And he goes, oh, no, it's cool. He's like, I trust you. He's like, give him some drink tickets. They gave us drink tickets and let us into the show.
It's
And I
all
was
about who
like,
you know, man. Well, yeah, the Japanese culture is like, I mean, you've been there more than I have. Like, it's something else. They trust you and they perfect everything they fucking do. That
that's
culture.
cool, man. I love it so much.
I know, because I think you and John kind of like didn't tell me you didn't get in for a second. Then John was like, oh yeah, just to let you know, I'm like, you couldn't get on the show.
Well, we did. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we didn't, but we did.
Yeah.
Like, and if it had come down to it, we were just like, whatever, it's fine.
No,
That was my introduction to the Menzingers, though. That was the first time I
Oh,
ever
yeah?
heard them, and ever since I've been like, band's amazing.
yeah, they're good. It's on Warped Tour a bunch.
Oh, really? So how many years did you end up doing Warped Tour with the Eco?
Let's see. Well, El Camino's toured until about 2008, right?
7 or 8, maybe.
7 or 8.
Yeah, something like
And then
that.
we met AKAs, and then I did AKA's Warped Tour with them, playing bass in 2009. And then that band broke up, and then I got a job after that on Warped Tour because I met
Through-
people.
oh, yeah.
Meeting people.
Nuts.
So 4 years, no, 2 years doing that, 2 or 3 years. And then I met Skinny Lister on it in 2012. So it's weird, like...
Oh, that's how you
so-
met them.
So it's a weird, yeah, like...
And you were living in Philly?
No, I was
is that
living
right?
here. I was living here.
Oh, you would just fly out for Warped Tour?
No, yeah, I would fly out. So I was bartending at Anna's.
Oh.
So for 3 years, and then I was flying. Yeah, so they would fly me out, they'd pay me, and they'd fly me back.
Was I back yet?
Yeah, you're back. That was kind of like that. Those are the years that were Downbeat was just starting.
Yeah, right before Downbeat started. Right when I had moved back and before Downbeat started, I feel like that was one of those days.
The magic moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those I was working at just some rando restaurants, and I guess you were working at Anna's, and then I just started drinking. No, I didn't. I started
No.
drinking after Downbeat.
No, because Anna, you know, Downbeat was open when I was working at Anna's. At least maybe towards the end. Because I worked there from 2010 to 2012. And Downbeat was open by then.
What I miss is the 2 years before Downbeat opened, and then the first 2 years of Downbeat. That's when I feel like Chinatown was super fun.
It was perfect. It wasn't too crappy and not too nice. It was like the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's when we used to do those Black Saturday shows.
At the
Once a
venue.
month, Black Square El Caminos. It was, and the funny thing is, looking back at them, they weren't even really that well attended. It was just a fun time.
No, it was fun. It was fun because it felt like a more like a brotherly thing with our band, like our friends' band, like Black Square and El Caminos every third Saturday or whatever.
Yeah.
It felt cool. And I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't feel like the energy anymore. I feel like, I don't know, like the bands are few and far between. Like there's less of them, you know.
I think that there's still. I've always felt like Hawaii had the most, the highest percentage of good bands per bands than in anywhere I've gone. When I was living in LA, I would see countless bands at just the places that the singer from the band I was in, he was always booking shows, and I would see tons of bands, and I would be like, oh, maybe 1 out of every 10 of these bands is decent.
I also think that, but at times I'm like, can I be objective? Like, I mean, am I just saying that because I'm from Hawaii and I have a thing and it holds a special place in my heart? All the bands there, you know, and are these bands really as good as I think they are, or are they just good because I live in Hawaii and I want to?
Oh, I could definitely rattle off the bands that I thought were trash. I'm not going to, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
You could think in your head really quick, like, which bands were trash? And I'd be like, this one, and you'd probably be like, yeah, that band was trash.
I already have 5 in my head.
Yeah, exactly. See, so I don't think it's that.
Well, we could talk about which bands for you, inspired you to play music.
For sure, Go Jimmy Go, because I was playing bass in Black Square, and so I'd always watch the bass player. And then for Hell Caminos, it was Suspicious Minds, because Ryan was just shredding that kind of stuff that I could never play. But I was like, that's where I wanted to get to eventually, which I didn't. But
No. Like you got to a place that's your own thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, different,
you know?
different.
Like you took influence from Ryan and like influences from Josh, and you did your own thing. You know, it's like your own little hybrid, your own amalgamation.
Yeah. What about you?
I used to go to shows at like a long time ago, like Kalahale Cafeteria days.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm dating myself here, but yeah. Salugla, yeah, this band called Creed. That wasn't the Creed you're thinking of, but they were called Creed, and they're a punk rock band. They're awesome. Spurn, they were great. Numbskulls,
Yeah.
the original lineup.
Oh, geez.
I've liked Numbskulls throughout the years, and every lineup has been great, but the first lineup was the one that I first saw them out, and I was like, this fucking band rocks. And I think I came out of the scene for a little while when I wasn't drinking for 10 years. And I went to some show at After Dark, I think, and I think 86less opened for some punk band, and I forgot the name of the band. But I saw 86less. I'm not sure why I went early, because I never went early to shows. And I was blown away. I'm not going to stroke Josh's ego here, but I was fucking blown away. Because in my head, I was like, for some reason, I planted to see that a local band couldn't be good. And then when I saw 86less play, it blew those preconceptions out of the water.
And what year do you think this was?
This is right before I started coming around to Coffee Factory.
Yeah.
So right before that. So I saw 86list, and then for some reason, and then I met Jack and Jake, and then we started playing in Dork, and we started playing shows at Coffee Factory. And then I re-met Josh, and realized he was in a second equally badass band called Black Square, which blew my mind. I'm like, 2 great bands? How's it even possible? And then I saw bands like Vax, bands like Upstanding Youth, and it just blew my mind away. And I think that made me fall in love with music all over again, and that made me want to be in as many bands as I possibly could.
It's funny because I remember when I met you, I was like, man, because you were hanging out with like Jake and Jack, and I was like, oh, it's so crazy. These guys are so old. And but like I was like,
But see, now it's like we're like,
I'm like, oh yeah, we're like the same age, whatever.
yeah. But when you're like 17, and I'm like, well, like how old are you now?
I'm 36.
Yeah, so
What are we, 4 years apart?
yeah, so you were like 19, I
Yeah,
was
4 years
23.
is nothing.
But when you're 19 and 23, like when I was in high school, a 23-year-old looked fucking ancient. You
Yeah,
know, they were the
yeah.
oldest people on earth. They were
It's like, this
dinosaurs.
guy's got full sleeve tattoos. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, now look at you. You've passed me by.
That's
with
so
tattoos.
funny.
But yeah, but I think too, it's like I think another reason why the scene was so good is there was a healthy competition between bands.
Yeah.
Like and
Big time.
and it's like capitalism. You want to make the next best product, so people will like your product, and you'll be like, oh, you have that product. Well, I'm gonna make my own product.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and Cody started a band, and I was like, well, fuck that. I'm gonna start a band with Jessica.
Right.
You know, and it was like this
Right.
healthy competition, but that made us even better. I think
That was fun.
that was so much fun.
There was back
Like-
then there were so many bands where it was like, okay, I'm gonna throw this show, and then you'd be like boop boop boop, and then and then people would be like, oh, we want to jump in that show, and I'm like, the show's already full,
You know
whatever.
what's funny? Like I would purposely like book as many shows with Derek as I possibly could with Also Daylight. 'Cause I'm like, fuck no, man. I'm gonna fucking have a monopoly on Derek.
That's so funny,
Yeah.
because he was the same drummer as
Yeah.
for our band.
That's great though.
You know what I was thinking about too? Okay, so I wanna see if we can tell this story two ways. But the Beaumont, Texas story,
I don't know why I thought you were gonna bring this up.
because it's like one of my favorite all-time stories. Even though at the time it was terrible, but still, I wanna get your recollection.
Remember how when we started this podcast, I was like, it's only like things I remember, either like the most terrible things or the best things, and this was a very terrible thing.
Like maybe the most terrible thing that ever happened to you on tour.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've told this story, and I don't know if I'm gonna get all the details right, but I'll get the basic outline of it.
Yeah.
We're on tour. We're on Texas. We played this really weird outdoor venue
Yeah.
with like it was like a combination of like rednecks and punk rockers, but then like they had sex and
In the
had,
same
like,
bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, like in the same, like they weren't like two groups of people. It was like this one group of people.
Yeah.
But they looked like our people, but there was something weird about it. I don't know. And we went to a party afterwards, and you know when like the seed's planted that you're uncomfortable, and then that seed grows.
Yep.
And like someone told me this the other day, like, Mike, you're very amiable, but like a lot of times you'll just blow up because you're too nice all the time. You don't ever let your frustration out. So when it does bottle over, you freak out.
Yeah.
And that was one of those days. So all day I'm feeling weird at the show. We go back to the party, and you guys, I guess, went on a Walmart run or something. You,
Exactly.
Jesse, and Jack. And I fell asleep on the couch, and I was woken up by water or by beer or something with some liquid substance. I was woken up, and I forgot what the guy said, but something about like, where are your friends at, you know? And I freaked out. I grabbed my stuff, and I ran out. I think you guys were pulling up, or maybe I was hiding in the bushes or something. And you guys pulled up, and I threw my bag against the van and like yelled at you guys and cursed. And then I hopped in the van, and the next day, you know when you're like, you've gotten into a fight with someone, you feel like emotionally hungover the next day?
Yeah.
You feel like depressed. I felt like that.
Was just so gnarly. Because Oh,
But
wait,
I never really
I'm gonna-
got your, like, I mean, I never really got your side of what, like, so you're just driving up, la la la, minding your own
Yeah,
business.
we're all like in a good mood.
And you see a maniac that looks like me, like, freaking out. Like, what did you think?
So okay, so we get to this house, and first of all, yeah, I feel like you maybe went to sleep right away. We get to the house. We had just played this show. Show was weird. Went decently well. Everybody there was exactly like, oh, these are totally our people. And then you kind of talk to them, and you're like, the people here are just a little different. No big deal, whatever. Just this is kind of a weird town, Beaumont, Texas, where Footloose was filmed. And
Really?
yeah, Footloose is based in Beaumont, Texas.
That's like, so like you did research for this podcast.
So no, I just eventually when Footloose got remade, I remember hearing Beaumont, and I was like, whoa! If I ever hear Beaumont, it's like bing,
Yeah, it's like
because
forever
of the
ingrained.
story. So we play the show, whatever, and then we end up going back to the place because every night on tour, it's like, where are we gonna stay? Oh, these people are gonna put us up tonight. Okay, cool. We don't have to sleep in the van tonight. So we get taken to the house, and we're like, do you guys have a computer? Can we do any internet? and they're like, yeah, there's a computer in this room, and we go into this room, but somebody else is on the computer, and I think it was either me and Jesse or me and Jack, and we go in, and it's like a child's room, but there's a computer, and we like sit on a kid's bed with dolls on it and stuff, and we're like,
Weird.
and this girl's on the computer, and she's like, yeah, I'm using the computer, and we're like, it's cool, we'll wait.
Hey, I'm using the computer.
Yeah, and we're like, we just want to like, I don't know, check our MySpaces or whatever.
MySpace was huge back then.
And then we end up getting a little bit of computer time, and then we come out into the living room and we start to look around. And you're sleeping on this couch, but then there's like, I swear, maybe it's blown out in my mind, but there's like a pile of toys next to you on the floor, and they're just all these old, like, it's like the broken toys from Toy Story, like in this pile. And you're like, oh, that's weird. But not a kid in sight, but all of this children's stuff, and like maybe like a crib.
That's heavy, man. Like, I'm just one of the broken toys on the couch.
No, not you, but you were with.
Broken toys, and Mike's just laying
Yeah.
there broken.
And we're like, well, at least Mike got to sleep, but we're all like, and then a party starts to happen, right? Like there's this party, and I feel like there was just the mix of people was all over the place, and I feel like it was I feel like it was like a ice smoking party.
Yeah, people were smoking either crack or
Yeah.
ice or some sort of.
And so all of us being straight edge at the time, besides Jesse, who was like on his way to not really drinking much anymore or whatever, we all go out to the van, and we're cruising, and I was like, yeah, this isn't really my thing, but I guess we're staying here because Mike's sleeping. And I was like, I kind of want to go to Walmart and grab something.
Yeah.
And then everybody is just like, yeah, we want to go to Walmart too.
Everyone felt uncomfortable being there.
Because nobody wanted to be
Yeah.
there. And so we jump in the van, and we're all having a smile, and we drive to Walmart. And then
Shit.
and then Jesse's like, hey, you guys ever heard of Frolf? And we're like, no, what's that? And he's like, Frisbee golf. He's like, it's really fun. We should play it. And so we're like, okay. So we buy a Frisbee at Walmart, and then we get Walmart carts, and we set them up all around the Walmart parking lot. This is why we're gone for so long,
Yeah.
where we would have probably just come right back. But we're like playing Frisbee golf, and then simultaneously we all get a text from you in all caps that's like, where the fuck are you? And we're like, oh shit, Mike woke up. And we're like, well, we better head back. And then we get back, and then that's when the stories converge, and you're just coming out of the house like, it's like,
I felt like
keep
I was
the van running, like that like situation.
Dude, I felt like I was hiding in the bushes. I don't know why.
You might have been. And then what I remember from you is a day or two afterwards, like once we all started talking again, you're like, well, what happened was somebody poured either beer. I remember you saying beer. Somebody poured a beer on me, and I woke up, and they said, where are your friends at? And you were like, huh? And they're like, they all left you.
No, they did say that. But it's, oh my God, like, I think I was just, like, I was terrified.
I would have been terrified too.
I was
I
scared.
think anybody would
But
have
I
been.
legitimately thought that, like, for a split second,
We like went to the next town.
I thought you guys left. I thought you guys were, like, over the tour. But then the funny thing is that ended up being the kind of end of our touring, because
Kind of.
we weren't,
but-
like, we didn't really know what we were doing. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't have anyone else that went before us in Hawaii except Go Jimmy Go to show us the ropes, you know? So we're kind of doing things half-assedly, you know? It just wasn't...
I don't feel like it was half-assed.
Not
I feel like
half-assedly,
we
but
did-
it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't as smooth as it could have been, because we were still trying to figure it out, you know?
I think, yeah.
It was fun, though. I had some
It
good
was
times.
fun. It was crazy. I don't know. I love the way that we did it. Just we'd like spend all the money that we're making, like whatever. It's just
Yeah.
like, fuck it. Who cares? You know, we just like get coffees every morning and be like, band budget.
Yeah, and we'd make up scenarios about, like, what to do to, like, the barista. Remember that one thing where, like, I think we're in Hollywood or something, we're like, Mike, what if I just, like, slam my coffee on the ground right now and start yelling? I'm like, you should totally do that.
Never did that.
Never did it. You should have.
What was your favorite tour, do you think? Not, I mean,
Caminos?
no. Just in general. Probably like Skinny Lister, right? Because you guys would have more.
Yeah, but like anything, once the novelty wears off, like, I think it was fun for Hell Caminos because it was our own thing, and it felt more personal. But I think Skinny Lister, it wasn't, like, it was partly my band, and I was in the band, but it never felt like how it felt with Hell Caminos, where
Yeah.
it felt like it's something I'd built from the ground up with you, you know? and you're more emotionally invested when you're doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how it was with Left Alone. When I joined the band, I thought this was everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and in a lot of ways, it was.
For a while, yeah.
I got to do stuff that I dreamt of since I was a teenager, and then eventually, it was like, I'm actually fine just playing in bands with my friends.
Well, that's the
at
thing.
home.
Once a novelty, like 14-year-old us's would hate current us's. Because, I mean, like when I was 14, like I want to tour for the rest of my life, forever. It's all I want to do. I want to be a musician. And once you're faced with the hard reality of what that actually is, you know, like long hours, sleeping on floors, not getting enough good night's rest, like not making any money. Once the novelty wears off and you're faced with the reality, then it's easy to move back home.
Yeah, and then you look at bands like higher mid-level bands, and you're like, how do they do that? How do they have a place to live when they come home?
Well, they work part-time jobs when they're back. Unless you're in that, and even Skinny Lister, like they all had other jobs when they came back home.
Did you?
No, because my visa, I couldn't work outside the band. It's a tier 5 artist visa, so I couldn't work outside the band. So like I tried bartending for a bit. There's no tipping culture there, and that lasted for about a month. I tried odd things here and there, but when I'm left to my own devices and I'm not kept busy, idle hands.
Yeah, that's really
and like
rough.
that's when I overthink things, I become miserable and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I become homesick. If I'd kept busy with a job, or there's this whole thing has gone up in my head so many times of how different it could have gone. But the deal is, I was homesick.
Yeah, me too.
Like my stepdad had just died. My mom was coping with it, and it just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Well, it's great.
why is it a great place to end up?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people can say they've done what we've done, and it sounds like me being like all ego-y saying that, but
Well,
it's
if you're in the military, you get that chance to travel a lot and see places. There's not a lot of jobs that are gonna allow you that sort of a opportunity. But
no.
I didn't go to college. You went to some college, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I learned so much traveling outside of this country.
But that's the thing. I mean, you don't feel like when you came back that like you got used to traveling, because that's how I feel now. Where like at any given moment, I'm ready to pack up and just fucking leave.
I'm not ready to pack up all my stuff, but I'm ready to go on a trip at if you were like, maybe not tomorrow, but anytime within reason, because I'm a lot more reasonable now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I mean, you heard earlier, just when I was just talking to
Vegas.
KK, I was like, hey, do you want to just like fuck off and go to Vegas for a weekend, or in next month or something? I'm not talking about like tomorrow or the next day, but I definitely do need to know when my next trip is.
Yeah.
And if I don't,
You get island fever, whatever.
then I start to freak out. Yeah, and it's fine. I love being here. I love the weather right now. It's amazing. I'm going to the beach every day.
See, that's a very responsible approach. My approach is like I just want to sell my shit and live on a boat. Like there's this guy at the yacht club a few months ago named Larry, and he travels around the world on a boat. And he's like, hey man, if you ever want to go on a boat for a few months, I could use a hand. You just got to pay for your own food and your visas, and that's it.
Well, does he have a load of money?
Well, yeah, he's retired. He's retired, like rich guy or whatever. And, and he travels. It's his second time doing it. He went east last time. Now he's going west, going around the world in a boat. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. But then the reality is like I still have a family. I still have like responsibilities, and so it's a constant struggle of like wanting to do what I want to do, but also trying to be a good son, a good brother, blah blah blah, a good friend. And yeah, so one of these days I will probably leave again. But as of now, doing the Hawaii thing.
But your trips are a little bit more permanent rather than just shorties.
Yeah, I feel like I traveled so long, like it became a permanent thing. Like it altered my DNA, where I don't feel comfortable having stuff.
Well, if you ever want to go on a trip, I mean, I'm like last night I was sitting there looking through my phone and I texted a couple people, and I was like, hey, you want to go on a bro trip soon? Hey, you want to go on a bro trip soon?
I want to go like let's go. I mean, we can talk about this afterwards, but yeah, like non-North America.
Oh no, out of the country.
Like South America, Africa. I'm thinking.
I have a buddy in Africa
I'm
right
thinking
now.
big. I want to go to fucking Cape Horn, where it's like the roughest seas in the world.
Really?
It's the southernmost. Is it Cape Horn? Yeah, the southernmost tip of South America.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like that Patagonia's down there.
Yeah. Is it Cape Horn? Or is that Africa? Okay. Anyway, the southernmost tip of South America. Yeah.
What's the Cape Town? is Africa.
Yeah, Cape Horn, I think, is.
I don't know.
John, can we get a? Can we get a
Google search Cape Horn.
Yeah, Google search Cape Horn. Is that South America or Africa?
Google search. It's K and then PORN. See what comes up.
Yeah.
K porn. I
Yeah.
think that's just Korean porn is what you wanted.
No, it's superhero porn. It's Cape Horn.
Yeah, Cape porn.
Cape
I get
porn,
it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Korea though, that's another one.
I've been to South Korea, never North Korea.
Oh,
We can try our luck there.
I would go to I'd go to Hong Kong, I think.
Right, Cape Horn.
Cape Horn is right.
Yep, southernmost.
Southernmost tip of South America.
Yes, it's like I
Nice.
won a contest with myself.
No, you just got a good grade on geography for today.
Yeah. Tomorrow, who knows?
Who is it? Somebody was telling me they wanted to go to. It's funny because sometimes people will say, "Oh, you know where I want to go? I want to go here." And somebody told me they wanted to go to Antarctica, and I was like, I think it might have been Patrick.
Can you go to Antarctica? Like, can you like?
So
did you
I think it was Patrick, and he was saying
I would go there. Yeah.
he was saying you have to go and you have to be on this huge tour with a boat and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I was like, I mean, what do you do once you get there?
You see some fucking penguins.
Maybe.
That would be my only like. That's all I want to see are some fucking penguins. But I'm sure there's like laws where you can't even like be near a penguin and blah blah blah.
I wonder.
You got to be 100 yards from a penguin.
I really want to go to go see the pyramids, but
Well, when I first moved to Europe, I wanted to do that, and my mom was like, "It's dangerous."
right, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous, but I don't think it's as dangerous as it used to be.
I think there's a tour you can do. I mean, not I think, I know. I've looked into it. You can go on this tour with this scientist, Robert Schoch, but it's kind of expensive.
How much? Well,
I think it was like $6,000.
Oh my
John, pipe down.
I
Actually, I was like $6,000. That's not that bad. Like
See,
I mean, when I went.
I'm ready to charge it.
Yeah, when I went to school, like I was studying anthropology and like archaeology. Like I love that shit. Like I want to see Greece. Going to Greece would be amazing.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I really want to go back to Rome too. I was only there for a couple days.
Rome's beautiful. Well, Greece, you have the beaches in Greece are amazing. They're like nicer than Hawaii beaches.
You been there or no?
But no, but it's seen
Let's
pictures.
go there.
Yeah, yeah. Croatia,
That
really
sounds-
nice beaches.
I've been to Croatia, but again, only.
Well,
that's the worst thing about touring Europe, is that you're everywhere for a couple days, and you're like, this place is rad, but I have no time to check it
Oh
out.
yeah, you don't, because you got to sound check. You got to get to the festival. Blah 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 blah. You don't get to see. All you see is the same chain link fence. At the
I would
festival.
super be into the idea of going to Greece.
Let's go to Greece. Because there's Greece, and then you got to like drive away to go to like a nice beach. But we could just do like a few weeks in Greece.
That'd be wild.
Put the feelers out, man. Let's do it.
How? See, I'm so bad at geography. I wish I knew better.
And
What's
Greece
it-
is really because like they just they went bankrupt a few years ago or something. So it's
Oh.
really cheap there right now too.
Really?
Yeah.
The only thing I trip about is going places where the crime rate's really high, because then you know it's obviously like travelers. But luckily, I look kind of scummy if I'm just wearing
Yeah, you
like a
look-
cut-off
yeah,
shirt and shorts.
Yeah, like you look like shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just have like a little Canadian flag on your backpack.
That's what I always hear.
Yeah,
But I
good
hear
to go.
you're supposed to just have a tiny little Canadian flag, like on your keychain, like nothing big, because then you just look like.
Like, hey,
American.
I'm Canadian, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just wear a Raptors jersey. Fucking Raptors, man. You don't care about basketball though.
Well, no, I care when two people got shot the other day. Like Raptors, was it like the Raptors show?
People got shot at the Raptors?
god. Yeah, at the celebration.
Whoa.
It wasn't the game, right? It was like.
I didn't
afterwards
hear
or
about
something.
that.
The
Yeah.
celebration parade.
Celebration
I mean,
parade
are you really that surprised? Like, I mean, about gun violence?
in Canada?
Hey, man, I don't know. It's leaking over from us.
You know what's crazy is when I was just in Japan a couple weeks ago, 17 kids got stabbed
Jesus.
right down the street from where we were staying. Yeah, it was crazy. That's
How
the
do you,
craziest
how do
thing.
you stab 17 people? I mean, I believe it happened. How do you do it like without getting
Well, they were
fucking?
kids.
But I mean, number one,
I
how
don't
can
know.
you do it? It's like
Again,
it's fucked up. But like,
should-
that's a lot of willpower, man. To fucking like 1, 2, 3.
Guy went crazy. I mean, people
Yeah.
go. That's the nuts thing in our lifetimes. More and more and more people have been going crazy and mass murdering than I feel like happened in previous generations.
Yeah.
Because everybody's still shocked every time it happens. It's not
But you
like,
don't,
oh yeah, that
you don't-
happens from
you
time
don't really
to time.
see like I mean, if there's serial killers around nowadays, like they're not really making themselves known. You know, Like there's a lot more serial killers like in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, all this. Like you don't really hear about serial killers anymore.
It's true.
Either they're just not around or they've learned from their mistakes. You know, they've learned from other people's mistakes, and they're very quiet about it.
Well, who was that? There was that documentary on the. What was he, like a doctor who had like killed a couple of his wives in the kind of the same way, but somehow got off.
Is it a podcast or a TV show?
I don't remember. I wish I knew. I think it was something that somebody told me to look into. What I did listen to was Dirty John. Do you ever listen to that one?
Podcast?
Yeah, that was another. Yeah, it was like along the lines of Serial, kind of just.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, the whole serialized, like Criminal is another good one. It's a good podcast. But yeah, I mean, it's riveting. It's like the Stranger Than Fiction stuff, you know.
That's not my go-to though. I like them sometimes. I was a huge into Radiolab, and still.
Yeah, Radiolab's good.
But I feel like they don't like. I want stuff that's like every day, because I'm like every time I get on my bike, I want to throw a new podcast on. I want to listen to some. I'm just.
Well, yeah, I
eating
mean, there's
them
so
up
much
too
content out there. You just have to look for the new content. You know, there's
Yeah.
there's probably podcasts out there that you're gonna fall in love with. You just haven't found them yet.
Yeah, can't wait.
I know, right? It's exciting. It's like a new relationship around the corner.
Yeah, I like stuff that's current. I like to stick with the current stuff. Like I've listened to so many. I've gone deep and listened to old Radiolab, which is great. But I like to stick with stuff that's a little bit more. Just got put out the other day.
Yeah, staying current, man. You're a fashion whore. You like the current trends. Current trends.
What are you listening to anything or watching anything right now?
No, I watched an HBO show called Chernobyl.
I just was about to start that last night.
Dude, it's fucking good.
I'll probably start it tonight.
It cleaned my palate after Game of Thrones. It's it feels the most post-apocalyptic because what this graphite and what this radiation does to these people, these first responders like firemen, how it fucks them up, like, and it physically fucks them up. Like it looks like it has like a zombie apocalypse feel to it. It's so good. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really well acted. It's the guy who played Moriarty on the new Sherlock Holmes movies.
Never saw it.
With Robert Downey Jr. Those ones.
I've heard about
He's like a British actor. He was in a couple TV shows, but he's just very good at whatever he does. He draws you in. And it's also Stellan Skarsgård, who is in like the Avengers movies. He was like the scientist in Thor, like the older one.
Okay.
He's in it. It's just really good about how the Russians, how it happened, and it was partly mechanical failure, partly human error, but how the Russians try to cover it up because they're in a whole Cold War with America.
Oh, shit.
It would make them look weak, you know.
Oh shit!
So-
I never knew that part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. I'll probably start it.
And,
Like,
and it's
right
only
after
5
this.
episodes. It's a miniseries.
Yeah.
5 episodes, and it's really easy to binge. It's good.
I like the James Franco one, but that was a few years ago.
Oh, the Deuce.
Oh no! The one before that, the one about JFK.
I've seen that one. Is
Really?
that on HBO?
You should watch that. It's on Hulu.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It's a Stephen King one, right? Where like it's like a time travel-y kind of thing.
Is that Stephen King? I don't know. It was the name of the show is the date that JFK got killed.
It's like a time travel thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He goes into a diner
And
kitchen.
at the end, spoilers. And at the end, spoilers. At the end, he's like dancing with
Yes,
the girl.
that's
Yeah.
the one. Yeah.
I gotta rewatch that.
How pissed were you at the last episode of Game of Thrones?
I don't mind the routes they took. Like I don't spoilers. I don't mind that Danny went crazy because I think that's what George R. R. Martin had in mind. Because he told D&D the ending, like this is what I want. You know, Danny goes crazy, blah blah. But they threw everything else out and they rushed it. So and then they twisted it. Did they twist it a little too far in the wrong direction? But like they needed at least one more season to have Danny go full mad, like a slow burn. That's what I feel.
I don't even think they needed another season. They just could have just made this season an actual the proper amount of episodes rather than what was it, 8 or 6?
Yeah,
or something?
well, there's a lot of factors like
They could have just done 12 or 16 episodes and just had a last season.
Well, do you know why? The showrunners are directing a Star Wars movie. Like it felt like they were like, we want to finish this and get over with. You know, and if you Google some of the interviews on YouTube about the cast members, like, oh, how do you feel about this next season of Game of Thrones? Like their sponsors are like pretty close to like it being awful.
I'm so sick of that. Seinfeld is one of my favorite shows of all time, along with the Simpsons and Seinfeld, probably my 2 favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
Granted, different genre, But what I love about Seinfeld is they just went for it. And I've watched a bunch of interviews with Larry David and Jerry, and about how at first, they got their first run. I think it was like 6 episodes for the first season. Really goofy little show. If you go back and watch the pilot or even the first
It's
season,
way different. Yeah.
it's just a really goofy little show. And then season 2, it's all right. Season 3, okay. But then once they kind of figured themselves
Yeah,
out.
they found their mojo.
But what happens now is nobody gets that chance with the way that shows are now. They have to be crazy and dynamic out the gate, and they have to fully blow their load just to be picked up for another series on Netflix.
Yeah, if ratings, but Netflix, it's like they usually, because they're not beholden to ratings, like they're beholden to subscriptions, which is way different. So say like they base should a show be renewed by how many people watch it and how many new like subscriptions they get for people wanting to watch it, And HBO is the same way, Star, Showtime, all those big cable network ones. But the thing with Game of Thrones, I think it just became too big for itself. Like if you look at season 1, like it's minimal action. And there's action, but it's not like explosions and bombastic special effects.
Yeah, once the dragons came in.
And they sacrificed good narrative. Like you watch season 1. I watched episode 1, season 1 the other day, and it's just like so mellow and it's great. And
With
it's
that
all
White Walker that was
and
just...
it's all narrative. Like it's like the conversation and the dialogue is amazing. And somewhere along the line, we lost that.
I don't even give a fuck about action. Action is just...
No, but
I'm
unless
just
you're
waiting
like,
for it to be over.
Unless you have a low IQ and you're just like, I want to watch an explosion. Like that's the
Yeah.
only reason.
It does nothing for me.
I don't know. It is what it is. My only thing is that, like, after 7 years, I became very emotionally invested in it. Like, because you watch it for 7 years,
So many people.
It's impossible not to feel something for these characters and to see them like just fucking mutilated by the writers.
Well, it's just, to know that it got fucked off because of a Star Wars movie. I'm like, man,
that may not be the
they
reason,
should have
but
stopped
that's
making
a lot
Star
of,
Wars
yeah.
fucking 10, 15 years ago.
Like, do you know that the same writer, one of the writers that was a showrunner for Game of Thrones, wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Ugh.
Yeah, which is also a terrible, terrible movie. I'm just saying.
I can take all of those movies for what they are, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I like them. I like them well enough.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones, it just really had something good going.
Yeah,
and they should have just seen it out.
I mean, sometimes I like to see things explode. I like to see superheroes punch each other in the face.
Yeah, sure. A little
But
bit.
Game of Thrones wasn't one of those things, and that's why I watched it, because it wasn't one of those things.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
I've watched a few episodes. Yeah.
I haven't watched the
new
newest
one.
season, but I've heard from a lot of people it's not that great, unfortunately. And I'm only on the I think there's 4 seasons. I'm actually just watching the 3rd right now, and I feel like the first 2 seasons were bangers. They were rad.
Mm-hmm.
They were, you're kind of, but then again, it's just that thing where like you got to get your mind blown, and they only do a few episodes per season. Maybe 6 or 4 or whatever. And the season that I've been watching, season 3, I've just been kind of able to predict everything, and like,
For Black Mirror.
man, it's just such a bummer. That's just how it is now, man. I feel like shows just have such a short lifetime where, even Breaking Bad was great, and then I looked back and I was like, oh, that was only 6 seasons.
Fucking Sopranos is great. That was a great show.
I think it's a little too dated for me. I'm trying to watch season 1 of The Sopranos.
Oh yeah, it's very 90s or like early 2000s.
Yeah, but not in like a
Like the hairstyles and stuff.
not in like a current show made to be from the 90s. Like it is so 90s.
Isn't it like a square? It's like the square box too.
Probably.
The first season, yeah.
Probably.
They did widescreen. Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I after watching shows and becoming like addicted to shows on HBO or Showtime, shows where like they can do whatever they want. They're not beholden to ratings, right? So now when I try to go back and watch a show on ABC or NBC, I can't watch it because there's
it's
commercials. It's censored. I mean, I'm not saying I need like gratuitous nudity and swearing in all my shows, but like it makes it more realistic to a point when they have those things.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm just so into basketball and podcasts, because basketball, the story's never going to really change all that much from year to year, but it's still going to be like, well, who's going to go, who's getting traded this
Yeah,
year?
exciting.
Where are they going to be?
The drama is why
Yeah.
you're drawn to it.
And that's why I think with Game of Thrones, they didn't really have to ever get to the point where there was an ending. They could have just kept writing it for quite a while, because in that universe, things are going to continue to be crazy just based on the setup alone.
Well, they've just started filming the prequel. They're filming a prequel.
And I hope it's any good.
And they're also
Shit.
doing a sequel called Torment and Ghost. It takes place north of the Wall. It's going to star Torment and Ghost.
Really?
Yeah. I have a picture of it. You want to see it afterwards?
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm kidding. And they're not doing that. That's a show I would totally fucking watch. I would watch that before I watch the prequel. I fucking hate prequels.
I like prequels
I
enough
don't know.
sometimes.
It's like, I'm like, I already know how you got from, I don't know how you got from there to there, but I already know you got to there, and then I know who's going to live and die. You know, like usually that's the case.
What about Better Call Saul? I think that's really good.
That's an anomaly. That's an exception to the rule. That's a great show. But for the most part, it's like prequels are just like,
Can't wait for some more Better Call Saul.
A lot of times they do prequels because they're still trying to ride the wave of the show before that.
Yeah.
You know?
They wrote the fuck out of Better Call Saul. So
Yeah.
wait, do you know what the basis for the
It takes place like 1,000 years before the current events Game of Thrones.
fuck yes?
So it might be like First Men shit, like
Oh,
Children
I'm
of the Forest,
stoked.
stuff
I'm
like
already
that.
stoked. I thought they were gonna do Robert's Rebellion, and I was like, fuck that.
I'd watch that though too.
I'd watch it.
But I would really watch Torment and Ghost. I would really watch that. Can you imagine just like it's like a buddy comedy, you know? It'd be it's fucking great.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yes,
I was totally going, and I'm like, that's what they're doing? Seriously?
I wouldn't hold it past them. No.
That's hilarious. But I'm super into 1,000 Years Ago.
Yeah.
Because
they just
that's
started filming, yeah.
so dragons are just all over the place. Valeria is still
Well, no, they only had 3 dragons left. Because 300 years ago is when Aegon the Conqueror landed, right? I'm a huge fucking nerd, by the way.
so 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years ago, it was First Men. So, like, I think maybe Valyria was
Bran
still
the
around.
Builder.
Yeah, so I think Valyria was still around. They hadn't had the Doom of Valyria yet, where everything.
That's
felt
what I'm
crazy.
saying. Yeah, Valeria's around.
That'd be cool. They actually showed like Valyria and shit like that.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want one of the when I heard they were gonna do some.
The Doom of Valyria. Would be a good
Yeah,
show.
that's the one I want. I want to see
Yeah.
the Doom. I want to see one that ends with the Doom of Valyria. I'd be like, that's crazy. Because then that's where the Targaryens, they become the Targaryens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
that'd be
because
fun.
Targaryens were just like they were like kind of savages until they found dragons, right? And the dragons like helped lift them into this.
I've watched some of the. I guess they come from the books, or maybe they come from like if you actually got the DVDs.
Yeah, they have the extras, and it has a history,
Yeah.
and that's based on the books. Yeah.
So they're really interesting, but then they can drag on and be pretty boring.
Yeah, I remember like when I had my first my season 1 box set. I'd watch all of them, but then I made it about halfway through, and I was like, okay.
Well, it's like 4 hours or
Yeah.
6
I mean,
hours.
some of it's really good. It's interesting. But,
It's great.
But I need to be in a certain mindset to watch it.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes I want to watch explosions and
Well, that'd be
superheroes
cool.
punch each other.
I was really into, Sons of Anarchy I liked, but it was just such a soap opera, and they kind of, I could feel like they were fucking it off, but I didn't really care.
But isn't that weird how like
'Cause I wasn't in-
like shows like that on FX or AMC how they're soap operas, and I'm like, hey, soap operas. Even though Game of Thrones was like the biggest soap opera, but it was a soap opera with nudity, swearing, dragons, gratuitous violence. That's a soap opera that draws me in, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It was just so well done, and the story was so deep.
Like until it wasn't.
Like you knew that there was so much more going on. Yeah, until you get to the end, and then they're just basically like, so all that stuff that we were like, this has a lot of meaning, and we don't care. None of it
Yeah.
matters anymore. That's
Like-
what I was the most bummed
Yeah,
about.
like the Chosen One, John, like a Azor, a High, or whatever.
But would you even be stoked if they were like, okay, now John's the king? You'd be like,
No, I think John should have been king. I was
okay.
fine with him going to the wall. I was fine. I just don't think fucking Bran should have been king.
Yeah, that was a little weak.
It was fucking weird.
Well, also, how did they even? What did like John confess that he killed her because?
Yeah, it would have been like,
There was no
dragon.
body.
It'd be like, she hopped on the dragon.
Yeah,
fucking
she
flew
took off,
you know?
man.
But then if you think John's like an honorable guy or whatever, he wants to tell the truth. But they should have
I had
seen
to
him
kill
being
her.
caught, and maybe Grey Worm trying to kill him, and like they should have shown things like that. That could have been whole other episodes.
Yeah, just a flash forward.
Yeah, flash forward, like the whole like teleporting in Westeros. How like you remember like Varys is in like Essos 1 second, and then he's in Westeros the next. They fucking teleport because the plot demands it. You know.
Well, also I feel like this was true, right? Where the story was happening in different time.
Yeah, but there's no clock telling you like that's happening. You just have to like figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
You know? It's just weird.
It's a difficult show. I mean, it's definitely one where you could go back to the beginning and watch it. You could probably watch that like 3-4 times and be like, oh, now I get it. But bummer thing, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's all right.
None of it mattered in the end.
Yeah, I was like texting Tiff afterwards, and she's like, "I'm so depressed." I'm like, "I'm fucking depressed too." It feels like you, like I felt like I had the same feeling watching the last episode that I felt when I watched The Last Jedi. I felt like I was being trolled by the directors, like they're playing some sort of practical joke on me, and that's what I felt. I'm like, okay, like I'll wake up tomorrow and the real episode of Game of Thrones will be on. That's how I felt.
Even last season when you were like, yo, see, episodes leaked, and I was like, oh boy. Like, that was still...
A lot of people don't like season 7. I like season 7.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
That was great.
I was into it.
Yeah.
It's just this season. It was, first episode, I'm like, okay. Second episode, classic second episode. Crazy.
Well, I did like the Battle of Winterfell when like the bodies are falling. Spoilers. When the bodies are falling from the sky, like that was like, because they're on the dragon or whatever, and there's like literally John's running around. And there's bodies falling all over the place. That was a good episode. It felt like a horror movie,
I feel it. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. I could go on about what I feel like should have happened.
This would be a 5-hour
but
podcast if we went on.
Yeah.
But yeah, but hopefully, like that's the beautiful thing about like media, about like books, TV shows, movies. It's like they make you feel something, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes it's pretty shitty. But they make you feel something, they make you feel alive, and that's why we're hooked on them. So
Yeah.
I love them. So we keep on coming back for more.
I feel like that might need to be soon my next thing that I get rid of. I'm always getting rid of things in my life. Like, I like to deprive myself of things.
Yeah, because it makes you feel human.
But then I'm like a rubber band where I just snap back into it. Like,
Example, like what do you deprive yourself of? Like
right now
alcohol?
is alcohol, unhealthy food. But that's good. I mean, I'm depriving myself of a lot of unhealthy things.
The
at
word like
moment.
deprive sounds like it's something that it's bad. But
Well, it's like I look at open up social media. Oh, there's a friend having a beer. Oh, there's a friend having a donut. Oh, there's a friend fucking having a piece of cake, and I'm like, oh man,
well,
those things
yeah,
look
but it's
great.
day 18. It's always like you're still kind of detoxing. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you're alcoholic, but when people go to AA, it takes some fucking years to like feel normal. Like especially if you eat donuts every day or if you drink every day. When you stop eating donuts or you stop drinking, you're gonna fucking miss it.
When you were completely sober for what, 10 years?
Yeah, a little bit over.
Did you miss it all the time?
No, because I wasn't even much. I mean, I drank in high school and I smoked weed in high school, but I never really liked the high or being drunk. So it was easy for me.
Why did you decide to go sober for 10 years?
Oh, I didn't decide to. It was decided for me.
Oh.
So I got caught selling weed at Colorado.
Oh.
And I got arrested. I went to jail. They gave me a choice. You didn't know this?
No.
Oh. So they gave me a choice between juvenile hall, DH, or Bobby Benson. So I was 17.
What's Bobby Benson?
It's a youth drug rehab center on the North Shore.
Oh my
Yeah, it's
God.
like next
So
to
you're
the-
like,
the
wait, I'm
shrimp
not even a
farms.
drug addict.
Yeah, but I got caught selling weed. So that was my
That's
choice.
ridiculous.
So I went there, and it's like it's probably involved with money somehow. Where like this is in my head, like the judge probably gets fucking like
Yeah, looking back. yeah.
kickbacks, for whatever. But yeah, so I went there, and they take you to meetings every night, and you go to a meeting, you drink coffee, which I'd never drank coffee before AA.
Whoa.
AA made me a coffee addict. And they take you to meetings, and eventually, for 2 months, I was at treatment, and then afterwards, I got out, and I was like, oh, well, I'll go to meetings or whatever. And then someone took me to a young people's meeting, and it was my first exposure to people that were my age that weren't drinking, and they're having a blast doing it. And eventually, you start doing it long enough, people telling you you're an alcoholic, you start to believe you're an alcoholic, and that's how it went. And so for over 10 years, I didn't drink.
So I remember the night that you drank again. And
Vegas.
Yep. And I remember I was never like programmed sober. I was just straight edge.
Yeah, because you drank a Jägermeister shot too, right?
I didn't.
Oh, was this me?
I pretended to.
Oh, did you?
Gotcha.
Gotcha, Mike.
But the funny thing is, I remember
But
we'd always,
wait. We just say that it was fucking Jaeger too. It wasn't like a delicious shot
that's
of
what you
whiskey.
sold out on. Was,
That's like, yeah, like 13 years of hard work being sober, and I compromised with the Jägermeister.
I like Jaeger. I like it just fine.
I just don't like licorice.
I
Like
like
Sambuca, Jaeger,
what about grown up Jaeger?
Baron
Fernet.
Jaeger. Oh yeah, Fernet. Yeah, that doesn't taste like licorice to me. You know.
Not as much,
a
I guess. It's got
digestive-
more complex flavor profile to it.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, like, yeah, like I thought I was I thought I was an alcoholic. But then after a while, you're like, and then I think the reason why I did that shot and why I had the mentality leading up to it was because I'm like, I was 17 when I got sober. Like, I don't think I was a drug addict or an alcoholic. I think I was just a stupid kid that got caught doing something really stupid. And I got punished for it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Same
I
thing
don't
could have
think-
happened to me, I guess, if I got caught smoking weed.
Yeah, I just didn't think. I'm like, and then I stopped going to meetings, but but AA did, I mean, it taught me a lot of great things about, like, I had my first bank account from AA. Like, they taught me how to write my first check. Like,
Oh, wow.
Like, someone from AA taught me how to drive. Like,
Because it's for young people, they're
yeah,
kind
and
of
it's
helping
just like,
you out
yeah,
with
they're
that
helping me
kind
out.
of
And,
stuff.
like, I just, like, life skills I didn't have at 17 or 16 because I didn't want to do anything but drink and smoke weed with my friends. Yeah, they taught me how to do all that stuff.
That's
and
wild.
Yeah, and I love that I had that in my life. you
Because
know?
I remember also when you did drink that night, I remember being in the van and I was like, oh no, like this is crazy because he's an
gonna start- he's gonna
alcoholic.
start shooting
so
heroin.
it's gonna like bad shit's gonna happen. And then nothing bad ever did happen.
Actually, Nick, I'll be honest with you. That night in Beaumont, I'd have been shooting heroin in the back of the van before the show. No, I wasn't doing that. Something bad. He's gonna start smoking crack. No,
I thought I was like, oh man, he just drank, and then now for the rest of the tour, it's gonna be crazy. But then I don't
Yeah,
even.
well, I mean, I had that same thought too. I'm like, am I gonna get nuts now? But I never got nuts.
And then you just.
I
Yeah,
just was like, okay, cool, I can handle. Blah, blah, blah.
that's wild.
But I love the fact I went to AA, and I wouldn't change it. Because I feel like too, like that's 10 years of no hard drinking and 10 years
Yeah.
of no like smoking weed. Like I feel like maybe that's why I don't look as old as I am. Maybe I do look. Do I look as old as I am?
You definitely don't look as old as Josh.
Josh, yeah. It's true.
JK.
But yeah, what about so you didn't take the Jaeger shot, but for you, like was drinking, starting to drink something that you wanted to do, or was it something that other people around you were kind of like inching you towards?
No, I think I don't remember. I think I might have told my first drink story, but basically, I lived above a liquor store. I went downstairs. I got one can of Bud Light. I went back upstairs. I watched an episode of The Office, and I drank the can of Bud Light over the course of the episode of The Office. And I was like, well, I'm not straight edge anymore. I got on my bike and I rode to Chinatown, and I think it was one of Roscoe's nights, one of his Sundays.
'Cause I don't think I was here for that.
It was a Sunday for sure. And then I went, and then I saw a few friends, and I saw a bunch of friends, and I was like, what are you drinking? And they're like, I'm drinking this. I'm like, can I try it? And they're like, yeah, right. Because that would always be like I would like joke with people like at a party. I'd like fill up a beer.
Never mind.
I'd fill like a beer up with water.
Yeah.
And I'd be drinking, like, that was Johnny Botel always tell that story. And I'd be like, whoo, man, check it out. And I'd like chug a beer, and he'd be like, what? And I'm like, it's just water or something. So like I would trick people. And I was hanging out at O'Toole's, and people were, I was like, what are you drinking, and what does it taste like, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, can I try it? And they'd be like, yeah, right. Yeah, here, have the whole thing if you'll drink it. And I was like, okay.
Sucker.
And take a big drink, and
Yeah.
they'd be like, what? And then I think, I don't remember like the next day or 2 days after that or whatever, but I do remember like going to Anna's very soon after, and then I saw Johnny Plugs, and I went up to the bar and I was like, let me have a Blue Moon, because somebody the other day was drinking a Blue Moon. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll try that. I don't
Yeah.
know. And he's like, who's it for? And I was like, it's for me. And he's like, yeah, right. And I was like, it's for me.
Yeah, you're like the boy who cried wolf.
And he's like, if this is for you, I got it. And I was like, okay. And he poured it, and I was like, thank you. Drank some, and he was like, And
See, I bet that's
Yeah.
that. I don't know. I
it's
feel
not that
like-
exciting.
No, but it is kind of exciting because you're experimenting for the first time, and that's fun. Like you don't know what you like, you know.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. I
Like-
found
like
out
when
what I
you're-
like is shitty beer.
Which is it's because
Big
when you're a
surprise.
kid and you're drinking, like you don't really have a choice. You're gonna be drinking like Mad Dog 2020.
Oh, right,
or,
right.
Or
'Cause whatever you
40s
get
of
your
or
hands
40s
on.
of Mickey's. Yeah, like Zima or whatever the fuck's out there. Like you had a choice, a conscious choice to go. Okay, well I'm gonna try this today and try that today, and it was easy for you,
And it was all nice and legal.
and that's exciting. Yeah, like that's a blessing.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun going through and figuring out things. I thought like, well, all my friends like these things, so I guess maybe that's what I'll like. Turns out I don't really like any of those things. Like Newcastle or Guinness so much. Oh, I'll drink a Guinness here and there, but
That's all,
I don't
yeah.
like Newcastle at all.
I know. Like what I realize is I like shitty beer and good whiskey. That's what it
Yeah.
boils down to.
Yep.
I know
I thought you liked tequila.
that too. Well, I've been on a tequila kick the last month.
Yeah.
Been doing Casadores. Yeah,
Mm.
that's Casadores. But yeah. But yeah, 'cause, I mean, you drink the same thing for a long time. You're like, I'm going to change it up. Get some tequila instead.
I like tequila and rum are like my last.
I won't do rum. I don't like rum.
I don't like it so much either.
I'll do rum in a fruity fucking cocktail if I'm on holiday.
Oh,
or
right,
something,
totally.
but that's about it.
Yeah.
Pina colada. But yeah, if I'm at home, tequila, whiskey.
But
it's
the
easy.
other night when it was Sailor Jerry Fest, and I'm like, what was that? I'm 15 days sober at that point, and people are like, let me get a Sailor Jerry Coke. And I was like, man, I want a Sailor Jerry Coke right now.
Oh, you were working for it?
Yeah.
I was working too. Did you see like Youth Brigade? Did you see them play?
No, they came into the restaurant and had food, and yeah, I just wasn't really feeling being out with a bunch of, especially on a night like that.
That's weird when you're sober. But it takes. But you used to do it all the time.
I used to do it all the time.
It just takes some getting used to, like anything. That's crazy, man. Life.
That roller coaster ride, I don't know. Yeah, what I have noticed the most is that, like, right, I used to be vegan, and I feel like if I've had a couple times where I tried to go back to being vegan, very difficult. I can go back to being, sober, not, I can't say straight edge, I guess, but I can go back to that for a set amount of time. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this for a month. But I mean, best believe at midnight on the 1st of July, it's
Yeah, you've already made plans. Yeah.
like, I don't have a plan set in stone, but I know, like, oh man,
You don't need a.
I'm excited for
it's not
that
a big
first
deal.
beer.
I don't think you need a plan. You don't. It doesn't have to be something that's like super. It's exciting, but you don't get to be like, I get to finally have a drink. Just be like, oh, my month's over. I'm gonna have a beer now. You know.
But I would like to find a more sustainable life for myself rather than just having, several drinks. Because you're like, is it normal to have a couple drinks at home? I mean, what was getting normal for me was a 6-pack with 6 shots every night at home. I'm like, well, I'm at home, so it's no big deal. I'm like, no, that's a lot of alcohol
That
to
is a
drink
lot.
and a lot of just calories that I'm just packing on late at night.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, I don't feel great, so I'm definitely not waking up early to work out before work. Now, I mean, I kind of feel like a champ all the time.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, I mean, what I've always said, like what the rule I live by, I'm like, I don't care what someone does. As long as you can do your job and you can do it well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you do cocaine, smoke weed, drink too much. As long as you can do your job and you're not hurting anyone else, like, have as much fun as you want.
Yeah, fuck it. Because I feel like I thought about it a lot when Cody got his cancer, and I was like, what would I do, man? What would I do if I found out I was gonna die? But I'm pretty sure I know just what I would do is I would say, well, I'm not gonna go to the doctor. I'm not gonna waste all the money on the doctor. I'm just gonna start traveling, and I'm gonna see if any of my friends will help me sell all my shit. I'm just gonna like, how long do I have, doctor? Oh, they say you got 6 months. Okay, I got enough money to travel for 6 months.
I'm the exact same way. I would do no chemo. I would just, like, move to fucking Thailand, you know what I mean? Or just travel around Asia or something.
I guess the disclaimer is, like, we say this now, not having that diagnosis in front of us.
I don't know. I mean, like, I've been around a lot of people that have died from cancer, and like, it hurts them, but like, it devastates the people around them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I don't want to have anyone go through that shit, because I've gone through it, and I'm like, I don't want anyone to go through that shit. I'd rather just take off. I'd be like, yeah, hey mom, I'm just gonna be gone for a month. I'm gonna go find myself
Eh.
and like not come back.
Eek. I know. It's because when I laid in bed for probably I didn't even tell Cody this, but for like 3 or 4 days, I laid in bed freaking out when I found out he had cancer,
Yeah, we
and
all did.
I was just like seriously like several days, and I wouldn't even tell KK what was up because I don't know. I just didn't want to freak
Like
anybody
jinx
out,
it
but
or
I was
something,
just,
yeah.
it just might like, I don't know if it's like I always felt like I had like this overactive empathy, like to the point where like if I watched certain movies and things happening to people, I could like, I could have a panic attack because I was imagining it happening to me so much. So especially when one of my best friends is like, I have cancer, this is real, I got to do the surgery right now, I got to do the chemo right now, like this is the real thing that's happening in my life. I was just like, I freaked out, and I was
Yeah.
trying to get a hold of him,
It's
like,
crazy.
and I wanted so badly to like understand what it was that was happening, but I also felt so selfish, so that I didn't want to try and bombard him with calls.
Well, it was like the first person that was our like, age in our circle of friends that had like like something was happening to him, you know, like, and I think that was a big like an eye opener for all of us. And it wasn't like, you know, a grandfather or someone older than the next generation above us. It was someone that was really close to us and our age.
Younger than me, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That was like even more so. I was like, oh God, like
Yeah.
I haven't,
Cancer doesn't give a shit
yeah,
who you are. It doesn't care how old you are.
and I just imagine it's it's almost inevitable, like unless something else happens to you with the way that the world is now, and the all the radiation and all the, I mean, like with all that stuff that's happened in Japan, and then we're just sitting here like I don't know, maybe it was bullshit, but I saw all those radiation
Yeah,
maps.
the wave maps or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if that's true, I mean, we're all fucked in Hawaii.
That was a couple years ago. Those maps were like really big, right?
Well, yeah, they're not that popular anymore,
Yeah,
but
but
it did happen.
yeah.
I don't know. I've heard both sides of the
I know, see,
story.
I never know because any that's why I fucking hate social media because it's like you can like look at it and it looks totally fucking real and it could be fake, or it looks totally fake and it could be real. You never know nowadays.
Yeah, I just want to. What I want to do is I just want to listen to my body, and if I start feeling like I'm dying, just take off and not actually ask a doctor, and just
No,
take off.
you
And
want to ask it until like a year later you figure out you're okay. You find out you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me.
then you just had a Queen Latifah movie
I just
happen in
I
your
just had a
life.
great 1 year long vacation.
And if that happens,
Is
also cool.
Like, is Cody like? I know I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but except for our great text thread that we have going on, um,
The roast thread.
Has he been all cleared with I know because he.
I think I'd like to say yes. I mean, from what I've heard, he's done with his chemo, and but that's more of a thing we should just like confirm just straight with him.
You know,
for
it's
sure.
I did something when I found out. And this is how I cope.
Yeah.
You cope with like staring at the ceiling, not being able to sleep, having a panic attack.
Yeah.
I cope like I was like super depressed, and then I can't tell if this is shitty or not. But then I looked for every photo of Cody I could find that I had, and put it on a folder on my desktop just in case if he died, I would have pictures of him for his memorial.
Oh my God.
Yeah, is that where is it fucked up or is that like normal? I don't know.
It's just the truth of what could possibly happen.
Yeah, I was like
guess.
thinking worst case scenario, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna donate some money to this GoFundMe anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I cope with things.
Wow. Wild. BBJ, where are we at right now?
Like hour 28 shit.
Oh shit. All right. Well. Yeah. I think let's call it. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming over, bud.
Yeah, man. Hey, I really enjoyed it. I have to say, like, I'm very proud of you.
Oh.
Like, I know I don't want to sound condescending. I don't want to sound condescending, but like, I love. I mean, at times you don't stick with something, but when you do find something new and you're super excited about it, that makes me happy, and I'm happy that you've found something that makes you excited and that it's still keeping you excited.
Thanks, man. It's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really fun to have something like this to do.
No, it's great.
And again, big thanks to BBJ because it's just leaps and bounds
Okay,
better
fine.
than it was.
That's good, man. It's pro.
Oh yeah, so we have some shows coming up, or we have a show coming up on the 5th. I don't even know if this podcast will be out by then. So maybe we had a show on the 5th. I don't know.
Yeah,
But July 5th is our next show, or was our last show.
It's a band called band
Hell
called
Caminos,
Hell
yeah.
Caminos. We're playing. It's the 5th is Anna O'Brien's Anna's 50th anniversary,
That's right.
and then July 12th.
July 12th at Downbeat
Your show.
with several other rad bands.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, so we got a couple coming up. That's cool. We haven't had 2 shows in a month in like,
2 shows in 2 weeks. That's
jeez,
like,
I can't even, like
that's
years,
nuts.
right? Like
Yeah,
years and
yeah.
years and years since we've had 2
Yeah.
shows in 2 weeks. So that's cool.
Yeah, like maybe it'll start. The whole scene thing. Maybe it'll.
I doubt
Maybe
it.
it'll be going
but
up again.
we're working
Have
on an
some-
album.
Have some faith, Nick.
We're working on an album, and we'll very, very slowly be releasing one song at a time. I think maybe is the idea. So we should probably put that one song out already.
Yeah, and this needs to be mixed.
Yeah.
I need Well, hopefully we'll make some money with these shows and
So
do it.
song coming out probably, let's say within a month. I think let's just get that thing out,
Say
right?
30 days,
Yeah.
just like being sober. 30
Cool.
days.
Yeah. All right. Right on, bud.
Later.
Cheers.